Are you struggling with inspiration for your small outside space? Well, I am going to talk you through my terrace and the features that I've got here that I absolutely love and use all the time. So whatever time of year you're watching this video, hopefully there is something you can take away. So welcome back to the Ideal Home Show YouTube channel, where we bring you all things home. So if you're looking to renovate, if you're looking to upsize, if you're looking to move home, if you're looking to downsize, if you're looking for all the tips for your next DIY project, home hacks, all the advice, we've got you covered. My name is Lexie Carducci. I have been renovating my 1970s townhouse in London for the last 23 weeks. So it has been a long time putting this all together. And I'm going to talk you through how we designed our outside space. So I live in a 1970s style townhouse in London. And in London, of course, you don't really get a lot of outside space. So the outside space that we do have, we've got to make the most of. Now, my terrace is about 50 square meters, to just give you an idea of size that we're working with. And I call it a terrace because being a townhouse, things are like built up rather than out. So this is actually the first floor that we're stood on. And our living space, which is behind me here, is actually up on the first floor. So you come in traditionally on a townhouse on the ground floor where you might have your garage, utility rooms, sometimes there's a kitchen, and then you go up to the first floor to get the views. And when I say views, this is what sold me on this house. So behind me over here, you can see the marina. That's right, we live on a marina in London, which is absolute madness. You can see why I completely fell in love with this place. Now, I call this my dream home for now. And I think that's a key thing to remember, isn't it? Like when you're designing any space, how long are you going to be there? How much time, effort and money are you thinking of putting into a project? Now, the outside space that I have here might not be the biggest, but one of my key things when I was searching for a home was to actually have some bit of outside space. And I really wanted it to be facing south, southwest or southeast to maximize the amount of time I could get in the sun every day. And that actually brings me quite nicely onto my first point. When you're designing any outside space, it may not be massively important to you, but for me, it definitely was. And that was looking at what way the house is facing and where the sun is going to rise, set, or be on different parts throughout the day. So here we're facing about southeast. So if I'm looking straight in front of me, it's about south. This way is west. So you can see now the sun is actually shining down on me right in this direction, which means that at the end of the day, we're going to get a lot of sunlight in our garden. So if you follow me around this way, there you go, you can see the sun shining in this direction with my shadow behind me, because I'm filming this at about 5 o'clock in the evening, which means it's golden hour and we're getting great sunlight out here. But that's also a key factor in deciding where you want to place certain things in your garden. Where's going to get the most sunlight? Where might you want to focus on a little bit of shade? And when it comes to planting plants as well, you might want to think about the placement of different types of plants. Now, the next thing that we thought about when we were designing our outside space, and what I encourage anyone else to think about, is how you are actually going to use that space. What is important to you to get from the space? So for example, my thoughts were we really wanted to do some outside cooking. I mentioned to you earlier that we've got that inside-outside flow. So having a space to cook was very, very important. Sitting outside, entertaining friends. We wanted to actually have a lot of meals, or as many meals as we could, outside. So having a place to sit and enjoy that. I also use this table to double up because, like I said to you, I love to sit outside in the sun. And this corner over here at the back is actually where gets most of the sun throughout the day. That is where I sit and often do my work in the day if I'm working from home and I want to sit outside in the sun. We've then got this seating area over here, which actually is quite shaded. You can see at this time of day, look, I'm in full shade over here. Now, we've got a little dog, and if you're thinking about pets, they love to be outside, don't they? My dog, normally I can find her completely in the sun. I've really got to coax her out of the sun. So we wanted to have a space where if we had guests around, or particularly for our pet, if someone needs to escape to the shade, that is the space for them. That's where you'll find them. This is where you'll find me. Now let's talk borders, because everyone's got a different opinion, haven't they? Do you want hedge? Do you want fence? And it again depends on what everyone else has got around you, what your absolute preference is, and space saving as well. So we changed pretty much all the borders that are here from hedging. There was like box hedging behind me on this space, which took up, it probably came out to about here. So we've got, if I shut this, we've got a built-in kind of shed storage unit that is here, and actually the box hedging came out to about here. So it was almost like, what's that, half a metre, if not more, space that it was taking up, that we thought actually we can utilise that space by not having the box hedging there and taking it all back and putting in a fence instead. So we opted for this lovely fence, which I absolutely love. Now it is a little bit like Marmite, people love it, people hate it. It's a bit of a unique design. It's called barcode fencing. Now the reason it's called barcode fencing is because you've got different sized bits of wood that are all kind of put together. There's not really a pattern to it, but you can see this bit here is thicker than this bit. If we look on the fence here, you've got bits that are longer, then you've got other bits that are shorter. So the lengths of them, the widths of them, all different. That's why it's making that kind of crisscross barcode, bit random pattern. We went for a red cedar wood as well because we really like that colour. We actually had someone that built a fence near us that looked very much like this, and we thought, love that. It's very clean, it's very sleek, it looks nice and modern, it's very fresh, it's easy to maintain as well. We've actually just oiled these, and if you're looking at getting a similar fence, or any fence in general really, particularly when we are living here in the UK, because as we know, we get a lot of random weather, don't we? We just don't know what it's going to be like one day to the next. So we've actually had these stained and oiled, which puts a protective layer on it, which means it protects it from the elements. Now you might be thinking, Lexie, why did you get rid of the hedge? Well, my biggest thing was bugs. I think I'm pretty much allergic to every bug that is out there. They always find me. They absolutely love me. But at the same time, I do realise that, of course, in our garden spaces, we've got to have something to give back to the wildlife. So this brings us nicely onto plants and planters. So plants, planters and greenery, always something that is super important to have in a garden and something most of us want to maintain. Now, in our garden, we have gone for a little bit of minimalist look because we love that Ibiza or Mediterranean style villa vibe where it's all very clean, it's very neutral, there's not too much going on, and there's minimal planting. Not just that, I think I could pretty much kill any plant. So I'm not going to go into too much detail about the different plant types that we use because that is not my area of expertise. We have a plant and gardening expert here at the Ideal Home Show who will be able to tell you more about that much better than I can. But I will tell you, we actually had our garden designed by a company called Garden Designs for All, which for people like me that maybe can, you know, do the interiors and the actual building of a property and the development and the styling of a property better than knowing about what happens outside. So I definitely needed some help, which is why I reached out to Aubrey, and this is the advice that he gave me, which was so useful for someone like myself who's not so green fingered. So basically my brief to Aubrey was give me some plants that I can't kill. So we opted for like part of the flax family. So we've got these two almost like palm style plants that are here, and we actually picked, there's so many different varieties out there, and we actually picked two that kind of spoke to us or meant something to us. So this one here is called a Torbay Dazzler because I grew up in Torbay, and this one here is called the Maori Queen because my boyfriend Luke is actually from New Zealand. So there you go, a little bit of us in the planting over here. Also down here we've got some lavender. It is end of the season, so it's not looking too happy with itself, but I have positivity and I feel like it will definitely come back next year. But that's great for the bees, and this is what when I said about, you know, giving back to the bugs, we need somewhere for the bugs to go, don't we? So the bugs have got the lavender, they absolutely love it. The bees are here all the time. But then over in this corner we have one of my favourite plants of all time. It's a beautiful wisteria. Again, we're out of wisteria season, although this did have a little bit of a late bloom when we put it in, which was about July time. But the plan for this, obviously we've bought a little baby one, it's got time to grow. The plan is to weave it in across the top of the fence here so that eventually it will cover this side of the fence and look absolutely gorgeous. It's probably one of my favourite plants. So there you go. I guess like I said, not an expert when it comes to gardens and planting, but my top tips are definitely try and get someone to help you with it, ask for the advice, and don't be afraid to put in something that you love. If you love the look of it, why not? Give it a go. Oh, there's one other thing that I must mention to you. My final plant, how could I forget about him? One of my absolute favourites is Ollie, the olive tree. Now, do you know what? I always think with plants as well, keep going with them, because if they look dead, they might be coming back alive. Because Ollie, let me tell you, he definitely looked dead at the beginning of this year, but as you can see him now, he's back with us and looking fabulous. We gave him a little trim. We actually moved his home as well, because we moved home, so he's got a new spot in prime sunlight and he is living the life. And then our planters. So now these were actually built in a cinder block brick. So underneath this, you'll have all the typical grey, like slab bricks that you often see. And then they've been covered in a render, just like you'd render the outside of your house. We have rendered these from a company called K-Ren. They've got hundreds of different colours, which is fabulous, and we've just picked a nice neutral because, like I said earlier, we like that Mediterranean villa vibe. Now inside the planters, initially we just put earth and dirt and mud that we picked up from the local garden centre, but actually we decided it was getting a little bit messy. Like whenever we were watering stuff, the mud would just kind of go everywhere, and then we'd walk it around on the floor, and then we'd go inside and it would be all over our micro cement floors. So we decided we wanted to put something kind of over it that looked a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, shall we say. So what we actually did was we went to B&Q and we bought, I think we bought about 5 packets of these huge white stones that kind of are like a little bit of a marble effect, I guess. And then we just laid over a coating across the top of the earth. We stabbed it a few times with a fork so that we could, a gardening fork, so that we could put some holes in it so that the water could get through. And then we placed all of these stones over the top of it. So it just, I just quite like it. It looks like a nice Mediterranean garden again. Next up, let's talk flooring, because I guess your most common flooring for having outside in a garden space is either going to be grass, maybe a decking, maybe a composite decking, which was actually what was here before. But what we've gone for is tiles. So we have gone for the colour Boost White, which is from Manoli Tiles, because we wanted to create that kind of inside-outside flow that was very similar looking to our micro cement on the inside. So we really wanted to get something that kind of matched that colour-wise. We've had them laid in a brick effect rather than having them like checkerboard and all looking even. They're kind of a little bit off-centre, which I quite liked the look of as well. They're about 20 millimetres thick, and they're in a textured anti-slip finish, which of course is super important for being outside. Also, what we had done in an anti-slip finish is the glass that we stand on down here. So you can see this is actually a light well to a outside space of a room that's underneath me. So they are of course in an anti-slip finish as well. They've got like a coating on the top of them with really small like little dots that make them textured, so that when you walk outside and it's a wet day, you don't come out the door and slip over. And one final thing for kind of outside flooring is thinking about pets again. If you've got a dog, if you've got a cat, if you've got other animals, having some form of space for them to use and go to the bathroom is obviously super important. So down here is my dog's toilet, which is actually a small patch of artificial grass, which we had to train her to use, but she's kind of got on top of that. You can actually just pick it up, shake it off, wash underneath it, so it's really easy to use. Now, I know a lot of people may not want to use artificial grasses, but you can actually get this in real grass. It's called Piddle Patch. Have a look at it, it's brilliant. You can get it on a subscription, so they'll bring you new grass every 2 weeks, and it is actually real grass, if that was something that you wanted to look at as well. Or particularly if you're living in an apartment or a high-rise building where your outside space is a balcony, it's brilliant. It means you don't have to dash up and down if you just want to let your dog out or your cat out in the morning and have somewhere for them to use the bathroom. Perfect solution. Next up, seating. Now, we actually initially designed this space behind us to be a kind of little corner fire pit. We were going to have a fire pit in the middle here because it's kind of lower seating. Behind me is actually what's known as banquette seating, and we decided to put that in because I've been watching Amanda and Ali where they've been doing up properties abroad, and they did this like banquette style seating, and I just love it. You can actually have cushions made to whatever size you make your banquette seating, and it's just a lovely little kind of feature that is actually built in, and you don't have to necessarily think about external chairs. Now, we ended up with having external chairs because we'd initially, like I said, designed this space to be more of a cozy corner, and behind me on the other side was going to be our dining space. But actually we found that we used this space a lot. Now, going back to the very beginning of what I said about which way the sun faces, the sun is kind of coming directly at me right now, which means that this corner over here gets so much sunlight, and I found that I'd actually end up sitting out here a lot doing my work, and this is the space we use the most. So we thought naturally we should make this our outside space. So it's the point I was trying to highlight is that use your space before you necessarily go out and buy all the things that you want to put in it, because you may find that the way you use it is actually very different from how you intended to use it, which is absolutely fine. I always think change things up as you go. So we ended up buying this lovely dining table off eBay actually, and it was about, I would say, £400 cheaper than any other thing that I had seen. Now you can see the legs underneath here, they're that like spider leg design, which I feel has been really on trend this year. So we knew that we wanted that design, and we weren't sure what we wanted to go for tabletop, because as you can see we've had the banquette seating done in the same colour and style as our barcode fencing, so it's a bit matchy, and we thought actually if we added in another shade of wood, or just more wood in general, even if it was the same colour, it might just be a little bit OTT and a bit too much wood going on. So we actually stumbled across this, like I said, on eBay. I think it was about £289, and the top of it is actually a sintered stone, so it's very heavy but brilliant for loads of people sitting around a table putting hot things out on the table, because it can handle the heat, it can handle being scratched. And then we did actually end up getting some additional seating, which are these lovely chairs that are here. So we got 3 to just make room for people when they're coming to eat with us, dine with us, enjoy an afternoon in the sun with some rosé. It's close to the barbecue, so people can just sit here and have a chat with whoever's cooking as well. Now these chairs, I absolutely love them. They're, again, very trendy right now. They're a grey rope. And what was really important to us was that they stacked. So it's thinking about all these different things, because this cupboard that is over here in the corner, we built before we had our chairs. So we had to make sure that the chairs would stack in this cupboard. So we were always trying to find something that was, first of all, the right width, but then also something that stacked. And you would not believe how many chairs out there don't stack. Now, we went to a local cocktail bar near us, which is called the Little Bird. So big shout out to the Little Bird, because they had these chairs, and we said to the owner, we were like, oh my goodness, your chairs are perfect. They're exactly what we've been looking for. Where did you get them from? She told us about a furniture company called Eclipse. So ta-da! We bought them from Eclipse. They come with the seat cushion that comes off, and like I said, most importantly for us, they stack. Ta-da! Then we have my boyfriend's favourite part of the garden, which is the barbecue area. Now we opted to actually have a barbecue built in, so we have had this built into this space, which is again something, if you want to do that, probably best to think about it before you actually start with all the works on your garden space. So we knew exactly what style we wanted, exactly what size it was going to be, so it was easy to have it built into this. This is just that same block brick that was used in the planters as well, and it was obviously just measured out to this barbecue. Now don't take too long making your barbecue decision, because what we nearly found was that this nearly went out of stock, and then we would have had to have made it to a different size. Now this was made about 3 different times because measurements got confused, shall we say. But this is a beef eater barbecue. The reason we were so fixated on having a barbecue built in was because we intended to use this space almost like an additional kitchen. So I bought myself and my boyfriend a barbecuing course at the beginning of the year, and we learned so much on that course that you can basically use your barbecue as an oven. And the biggest thing they taught us was the difference between direct and indirect cooking. So obviously if the flame's down here, quick little lesson, the biggest tip that I learned from that course was that you've obviously got your flame down here, but if you were cooking sausages or something, you could put them on the rack up here, close it. This one from Beefeater's got a nice little window so you can have a little sneak peek at what's going on and keep your eye on it just about whilst you're entertaining your guests. But then it will just cook it like an oven, because I might be sounding like an idiot, but what I used to do was just put them out on straight, like onto the flame, stand here for 10 minutes, turning them over. But yeah, didn't realise that you could literally use your barbecue like an oven. So that is why we were so fixated on the barbecue. Next to our barbecue, what's also quite a nice idea to have is obviously a little workstation, so you can prepare the things that you're going to be putting on the barbecue. Now, this is actually an offcut from our kitchen island, which is the same material, and there happened to be some left. So we were like, brilliant, what should we do with that? Let's use it to make an outside kind of kitchen worktop as well. So this colour is called Albarium, and it was inspired by the Roman stuccos that imitated marble. It's sort of an off-white colour, and then it's got like movement in it, which also matches that concrete effect that we've been using throughout. Another very important thing in gardens, of course, storage. That might come in the form of a shed, somewhere to store your bikes, basically somewhere to put away all those bits that we don't want to leave out and about in the garden. Now, I showed you how we stored our chairs in here earlier, but other things that you might want to store away in there, your hose pipe, maybe dog walking shoes, dog bits, all your gardening tools. We're actually very minimalist. I'm quite shocked. I was expecting to open this and it'd be full of lots of different things, but it's all those things that you've got to put away, right? And then underneath our barbecue down here, we've actually got two little storage cupboards as well, and we just put all of our barbecuing kit and tools and the oils and all the bits that we need for the barbecue. There's a bin that's under there as well, just to hide all that mess away, and then you can see the gas canister. That was another reason we really wanted to have the barbecue built in, so that we could create this storage and just have nothing out on display and keep that kind of minimalist theme. I'll have to do a video in a year's time and see if we've actually managed to keep it this clean and minimalist. But there's so many clever storage designs that you can use in gardens. You've got those amazing bike sheds, places to store your bins as well. You've got those great bin storage units that don't look ugly. Storage basically doesn't have to look boring and ugly. Even people put it into their seats. So like we could have created underneath our banquette seating, like if it was solid at the bottom, you could have had the top lift up and create that as a storage unit as well. Even if you've got kids, like kids' games and toys, it's all those little bits that you just want to hide out the way. Now, one of the things that I certainly overlook, I'm not saying it's a generalisation that everybody overlooks it in gardens, but I definitely did, is lighting. And now it's so important if you are really starting from scratch with an outside space and you're taking it kind of back to brick and you're starting again from fresh, to think about your lighting and their placements and how many lights you want before you start the work, so you can get all the wiring and electrics in place. So we've got lots of different kinds of lighting that's outside in our space. You'll see behind me here, we've got 3 of these lights. So these are like the up-down lights. We've got them in a matte black, which just fits in with a lot of our accessories and finishes in our home. And again, we've gone for that kind of like fluted look, because as you can see, like with the plant pot over here, we've got a lot of fluting. Now our lights are on an on-off system. So if I flick that on and I come back over here, you'll see this guy is now turned on. We've also got some of our lights and security lights set up on what's called a PIR system, so like motion censored. So we leave those on at night, as in they aren't on all the time, but if someone happens to come into our outside space, it will turn them on. It's actually quite nice that I'm shooting this at this time of the day, because I did think it might rain on me. The clouds are coming in, but because it's a little bit darker, hopefully you can now see my lighting. So we also put lighting in the planters. So you can see here we've got the uplighters that are shining into the planters, this side as well, and all under these planters too. And it just makes it look so gorgeous in the evening when it's kind of that 7 o'clock, particularly going into autumn and winter, to just still really make your outside space a kind of focal point that people will notice and will look at. We've also, underneath our benches over here, you can see that we've got LED lighting that comes on underneath the benches as well. And then this side, you can see the light just down here. So they are literally just tucked in at the front here, but of course you've got to think about all your wiring, because that's all got to be decided before. Underneath here you'll see all the wiring that's coming out, so it'd be very hard to do that if you wanted it connected to the mains, and then you can turn on inside with like an on-off switch. Otherwise, there's lots of other options like going to IKEA and other places where you can literally just get strip LED lighting, or it's battery operated. So loads of different options out there. And also for the uplighters, I mean, obviously we've had these put in as well, so they are on our main system, but you can also buy a lot of the solar powered lights as well. So they'll just recharge throughout the day, and that makes them a lot more flexible to use, doesn't it? And then you can just turn them on and off when you want it. Another thing to think about with lighting is, I guess it maybe is a little bit of a mix, depending what you want, on practicality and aesthetics. So we've gone for a little bit of both. These are obviously nice and aesthetically pleasing, but if you come this way, so if I do this as a little bit of a selfie, talking about practicality points when it comes to lighting, you can see here we have a back gate, and then it's got steps that come in. So we've got one, and I think there's another one behind me here. Yes, 2 lights as you come up the stairs, just for practicality and safety. Now, when it comes to outside space, there's often some things that are overlooked. So I'll run you through those very quickly in case they're things that you want to think about. And a lot of it is down to like hardwiring stuff and really thinking, like I said with lighting, thinking about what you want before you actually start the works and really having it planned out. So one of those things is having plug sockets outside. Now at my old house, I used to have an extension cable if I wanted to sit outside and work from home in the sun, and I'd unravel this extension cable all the way out into the garden so I could plug my laptop in or charge my phone or whatever. But in this house, I was like, no, I'm going to be prepared in this house. So by the barbecue, underneath the barbecue, we've actually got a built-in external outdoor plug socket, which is again connected to our mains. Something else that people don't think about as well is drainage. So if you are having tiles like we've got, and it's not grass that's going to soak up the water, where is all that water going to? You don't want it to go underneath the tiles and just sit under there. So when people are doing the garden, obviously your landscapers will know this, but making sure it's slightly sloped and having a drainage system that's underneath. So our garden sort of slopes down this way, and then we've got a drainage system that runs round the outside. CCTV, now a lot of the time nowadays you can get cameras that you can just put up that you don't necessarily need to be hardwired, but if you want hardwired CCTV and security lighting and things like that, have a think about that so that you can have it put in before you start making it look all pretty. Another electronic outside item is speakers. So if you've got a built-in speaker system throughout your house and you want to extend that outside, that could be an option to have speakers that are actually built in. Obviously, a lot of companies will do their own outdoor waterproof speakers. Or of course you can just bring out like a Bluetooth speaker or something like that. But if you want a more permanent feature, that's always something to think about. We actually didn't put in outdoor speakers into our home because, like I said, we've got the living room that's right here. We've got a nice big Sonos subwoofer thing that definitely gives us enough sound, let's say. And then one final thing to not forget about, and it's definitely something that I don't really think about because I love the sun so much, but we do need to look after ourselves, don't we? So having somewhere or a little patch that you can have shade. So whether that's like a pergola that you have built in, or if you have a trellis that can provide some shade and run planters across the top of it, or having an option for an umbrella in your table. Just having somewhere that friends, family or pets can go and sit in the shade. Well, there you go. That's enough about my garden. I would love to hear about your garden and your garden secrets and things that you've done in your garden that you're like, I must share this with other people because it's a bit of a home hack, particularly if you've got small outside spaces or you've got a balcony. We would love to hear your designs. And if you liked this video and you found it useful, please do give us a thumbs up. It really helps spread the word. And talking of spreading the word, if you think of someone that you know that would love this video or is about to design an outside space of their own, please do send it on to them. Don't forget to subscribe as well, because there's plenty more where this came from here on the Ideal Home Show YouTube channel, where we've got a lot of tips, hacks and insights for your home. I'll see you soon. Ciao.